He's a blogger, worship leader, father, husband, and now author of this new book called Moment Maker. Carlos Whittaker is challenging all of us to take advantage of those special moments in our lives and make them worth something. Live our life to the fullest. Welcome, Carlos.
Thanks so much for having me.
Yeah, so I've been reading your book. It's exciting to be challenged to really look at our lives and really just pick out moments in our lives and really look up from our day-to-day life.
Absolutely.
I want to talk a little bit about that, but first I want to talk about your backstory.
Okay.
And kind of how you came to Jesus. And,
Yeah.
and I know you grew up in a Baptist minister's household, so tell me a little bit about that.
You know, I grew up in East LA, Pico Rivera, California. My father was the pastor of Primera Iglesia Bautista, first bilingual Baptist church.
Wow.
And which basically meant that if my father preached, he preached in English and in Spanish in the same sermon. So he would say, Dios es el mismo en inglés y español. God is the same in English and in Spanish. So his sermons were twice as long. So I was really in church a long time. And the crazy thing is, right, we all know the stories when you grow up in church. So I knew all the stories, but I knew them all here. And I remember the day that my father said, you are 18 inches away. 18 inches away from heaven and hell. There's this place because you've got it all here, but you just have to move it down to here. Yeah. And for me, it took until I was around 18 or 19 to really make that shift from my head to my heart. But that's when it happened, around 18. And ever since then, I've been running and gunning. Obviously, right, our faith has ups and downs. Yeah. And more ups than downs sometimes, but I've been having a blast for, I won't tell you how old I am, but since 18, living for Jesus.
So tell me, how do you become a moment maker?
Yeah.
What is that? First of all, what is a moment maker?
Well, this is what I think. I think a moment maker is somebody that is intentional about living their life. The subtitle of the book is You Can Live Your Life or Your Life Will Live You. And I feel like so many of us are really doing the same thing every single day. And what happens is we blink and it's a year later. Yeah. We blink and it's 2 years later. I believe a moment maker doesn't blink and it's a year later. I think they blink and it's a moment later. And so when we start on purpose living our life, so many times I hear people say, man, life is speeding by me. It's just speeding by me. You've got to really work hard at this. And I'm like, no, we're actually the ones speeding past life. Yeah. So we've got to pause. Yeah. We've got to look at the moments around us. And there's so many amazing moments on a daily basis that we're missing because we've got our phone in our hand. We're constantly distracted. But when we put those things down, we can really start being moment makers.
So tell me about how you can practically become a moment maker.
Absolutely. Sure, the book's filled with lots of great stories of life and also of Jesus, how he was a moment maker. But I believe that there's some practical tips that we can do. One thing that I do is I literally set an alarm on my phone 3 times a day where this alarm will go off and it says capture a moment. Wow. So when it goes off, I pause and I look around and I look for a moment.
Are you usually waiting for the alarm to go off? Do you anticipate the alarm
when the alarm first starts going off, yeah, you're kind of anticipating. Now I don't really even need the alarm.
Okay.
Because now it's just become a part of my life. So, for instance, on the plane on the way to Toronto, 20 people walk onto the plane, and I say, I'm going to compliment every three people. Yeah. So I did. The first guy comes in, I'm like, man, that's an amazing shirt. And he kind of looks at me like, are you crazy? And I'm like, okay, just be obedient, just be a moment maker. And then sure enough, like it's another guy, real big, strong guy. And I'm like, man, you must work out a lot. He looks at me again like I'm crazy. And I'm like, just keep being obedient, keep being obedient. And then finally, about the 20th person was about an 80-year-old black woman. She comes walking in and she's got this strand of pearls around her neck. And I look at her and I was like, ma'am, those are the most beautiful pearls I've seen all day. Aww. She stops me, she grabs me, she lifts me up with tears in her eyes.
And the 80-year-old lifted you up.
Lifted me up, and she looks at me about this far away from my face, and she goes, nobody has told me that since my husband passed away 3 years ago. Oh. Thank you. And she sits me back down, and I start crying, and I realize that because I was obedient for those couple of awkward situations, right, this woman needed a moment of rescue that who knew that needed to happen. But because I took a risk, I was able to help her out and rescue that moment.
And you said something so important. It wasn't about you making a moment for yourself.
No.
You made a moment for this woman.
Yes, absolutely. The moment-making life, I think there's a lot of books about having a great life. And sure, this book can lean in that direction, but what I love about what maybe the heartbeat and the ethos behind a moment-making life, it's not for the sake of us just having a great life. It's for the sake of other people I think, seeing Christ's face fresh again.
Yeah.
And so as we're making moments, as we're living this moment-making life, and the end result needs to be somebody seeing us living this great life and go, hey, what is it about your life? What is it that's making you do this? And at that point, now you can say, you know what? His name is Jesus. You know, when we study his life, he was actually a moment-making Christ. Everything he did was on purpose. He didn't necessarily preach a million sermons, right? We only have a couple of sermons that he preached. The rest of the Gospels is filled with moments that he had with one-on-one with disciples, with, you know, drawing little things in the sand with a woman that needed to be forgiven, all of these small moments. So I believe Christ is the perfect example of a moment maker.
And you have 3 points or 3 types of moments.
Yes, absolutely. Created moments, received moments, and rescued moments.
Okay.
I believe these are the 3 moments that if we try to do these every single day, at that point, literally our lives are going to be off the chart amazing. Created moments, these are the ones we're in charge of. Okay, these are surprise parties. These are, you know, engagements. All of these things that we can do. I created a moment on the plane, right?
Yep.
You know, every couple people. Received moments are the moments where we are the beneficiaries of the moments. These are these moments, Oprah liked to call these aha moments. Okay, so I'll take it a little bit more towards Jesus and say that these are the moments where Christ comes in and shifts our ethos, shifts who we are because of things that happen to us. So we're receiving these, and you have to pay attention. You have to get off your phone in order to receive these moments. We have to gaze up and glance down. That's what I love to say. And then rescued moments. I didn't want to write a book filled with unicorns and rainbows and fluffy clouds, because the truth is, in our lives, every single day, they're not fantastic. And there's sickness, there's cancer, there's depression, there's anxiety, there's divorce, there's things that are happening around us that we literally can help people rescue moments, or we can look to Scripture and allow it to rescue our moments. And so they can be massive moments or small moments, but created, received, and rescued moments are kind of what I wrap the book around and allow us to take those 3 types of moments and, again, start living on purpose.
Explain, like, give an example of a rescued moment.
Yeah. Absolutely. Well, we'll take a small example of a rescued moment. Well, yesterday, the moment that I rescued with the lady on the plane. Never knew that was going to happen. But a lighthearted moment that happened, and I share this in the book, is we decided to have a butterfly farm in our home. So we asked our kids would they like to do this. So they raised these little caterpillars, and they turned into butterflies. And then it's butterfly release day. We've had them for months, right? My daughter, Sohaila, is in love with these butterflies. She's named it Bob the Butterfly, Bernie the Butterfly. But I'm like, baby, we're going to have to release the butterflies. So we make butterfly pancakes. I put butterflies antennas on. And the morning of the release comes, and we release the butterflies, and they fly away. And Sohaila's crying because she's going to miss the butterflies. We get in the car. I start backing up. My kids have their faces plastered against the window, watching one last butterfly. And out of the corner of my eye, I see a bird. And this bird comes and whack, takes the butterfly out of the air. And my kids are screaming, oh my gosh, Dad, go rescue the butterfly. And I remember thinking to myself, and I looked at my wife, and I'm like, rescue the butterfly? And she goes, go rescue the butterfly. So I hop out of the car, I sprint to the butterfly, to the bird. I try to chase it. Of course, I can't catch a bird, right? I'm a human being. And so the bird flies away. I walk back to the car, and I think, I'm going to rescue this for the kids. So I say, kids, Hakuna Matata. It's the circle of life. What if the bird was so hungry and the butterfly was its food? And my daughter, knowing the Lion King, goes, that's not what Hakuna Matata means, Daddy. That means no worries. And the butterfly was worried. So here's the thing I try to tell people. We try to rescue moments sometimes with our words. And sometimes all that needs to happen is understanding and silence. So my daughter came back to me later that day, and I just let her sit with me. And the rescue happened in the silence, not in my words. But right, when we have, we grew up in this Christian culture, and we think that our sermons and our testimony needs to be the things that rescue people. Sometimes just being with them is going to be all that needs to happen to rescue. There's a little story for you.
That's a great story.
Yeah.
So there's also a great moment that's gone viral.
Absolutely.
Online. And this is a YouTube video of you in the car with your kids and your wife, Heather.
Yeah.
And you're singing Single Ladies, Beyonce song.
Yep.
Tell us what happens, and we'll go to the clip.
Absolutely. So we're in the car in Atlanta, and on the radio, Beyonce's hit song comes on, All the Single Ladies. And everyone watching, don't act like you haven't heard that song, because you have.
Song.
And so they're singing All the Single Ladies. Now, I've got 2 daughters and a son, so I decided to tell my son, well, that he's not a single lady. And then I'm videoing this on my phone the whole time, so I can send it to my mom or whatever. And when I tell him that he's not a single lady, he pauses. he thinks, and he starts bawling, right? And my daughters reach over, trying to comfort him. They're looking at me, screaming at me, Dad! And so he cries, and I try to tell him, no, you can be a single lady if you want. Yeah. And then I turn the camera towards myself and say, I'm a horrible father. Well, that thing goes viral. The next day, Good Morning America, The Today Show, CBS Early Show, and we ended up winning a People's Choice Award for Viral Video of the Year because of this.
Let's go to it.
Listen, you're not a single lady, buddy. Oh, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. You're a single lady. Oh, sorry. Sorry. Listen, buddy, I was just kidding. I was just kidding. You can do it. Buddy, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, buddy. You're a single lady, okay? Okay? Here we go. If you like it, then you should put a ring on it. Sorry.
Did that hurt your feelings? You can be a single lady if you want, okay?
I'm a horrible father.
Do you want to be?
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Did you feel like a horrible dad?
I did for the moment, and this is a moment of a creative moment that goes wrong, right? Wow. So, again, not all of our moments that we're going to create are going to be fantastic. I gave my kid a lollipop, and that rescued the moment, at that point. That wasn't captured on there. But, yeah, I mean, it's been so much fun to be able to watch that video, go viral, but then also be able to talk about adoption and different things that are happening in my family because of that. So always, even use your messed up moments for all they're worth.
Now, Danny is another person that was kind of, would you say that was a rescued moment? What would you say?
I would say that that's a received moment.
A received moment
yeah,
for you.
For me,
right.
Absolutely.
And tell us a little bit about Danny and
absolutely.
how that came about.
So I'm filming a music video for my song God of Second Chances, and we're in downtown Atlanta, 6 in the morning. It's like 37 degrees outside, and I remember seeing a homeless guy come walking by me with a cart and thinking to myself, I don't have any money. I don't have time, so just keep looking down.
And it's cold.
It's cold. Keep looking down. Don't look at him. Just like every good little Christian, right? And so, but then I just felt the Lord tell me, just look at him. So I remember lifting my eyes and looking at him and making eye contact. And he drops the shopping cart and starts walking over in the middle of us shooting a music video. And I think, see, God, I told you, I don't have time. I don't have any money. And he walks up towards us, oblivious of the cameras, and goes, you singing gospel, man? And I go, yeah, I'm singing gospel. I'm singing about Jesus. He goes, you sing your song, and I sing with you. And he starts singing. As I'm singing God of Second Chances, he comes in, one God, one Creator, one Father, in his Rastafarian Jamaican accent. It was one of the most amazing times of worship I've ever experienced. I've led worship in front of thousands of people, but one-on-one with Danny, I connected with God in a way I never have. Now, here's the rescued moment. When I get done, the received moment. When I get done, I try to rescue the moment for Danny. I'm like, Danny, keep trying to make it. I'm going to be a good little Christian. Keep trying to make it, encourage him. And Danny looks at me. I remember him kind of cocking his head left, going, trying to make it. I'm making it. You, my friend, with your minivan, your white picket fence, your Twitter, your cell phone, all of these things, you need to keep trying to make it.
Wow.
And in that moment, the received moment I got was that Danny has nothing between him and Jesus. It's just a shopping cart. Now, I'm not trying to romanticize poverty here, but what I am saying is that I realized in that moment, I've got my picket fence, my minivan, my job, music career, all of these things between the throne of grace and me that I've got to get rid of before I can get to that. So how can I make room in my life for the gospel like Danny has nothing but that to rely on? So talk about a received moment. That changed everything for me. And if I would not have looked up, and would not have slowed down, and would not have paid attention, that would have never happened. That's why I tell people in the book, you've got to slow down. You have to look up. These Danny moments are happening all around us every single day. We just have to take advantage of them.
Wow. And what I found amazing is that you couldn't find Danny after.
Yeah,
he kind of just disappeared, didn't he?
Yeah, we looked for, I would say years. This was 4 years ago now. And I went down there every day for a week, and then once a week for a couple months, and took the video and showed all the homeless people there, and they're like, never seen the guy before. Half of me's like, well, I wanted to help rescue Danny. I wanted to find him, take him off the streets. But I also feel like the Lord told me, you know what? Sometimes I give you a moment for the moment. Not for anything else, not for what you can do for it, but just for that moment alone. And then I realized, okay, you know what, God? The situation is yours. You're going to take care of Danny. Danny was there to give me a moment, not necessarily for me to come in and rescue him.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thanks again, Carlos.
Absolutely.
The book is called Moment Maker. And Carlos, you're going to sing that song
Yes.
for us, God of Second Chances.
Absolutely.
I look forward to that. And stick with us.
1, 2. Great Redeemer, we humbly respond to the call of your love. Gracious Father, like a child we run, yeah, with arms lifted up. Let them rise now, here we go. So let the praises rise. Yeah. You're the God of second chances. You're the God who still romances. We're in awe before you now, and our hearts are bowing down. You're the God of all the ages. Who are we that you would save us? We're in awe before you now, and our hearts are crying out, hallelujah to our God. Yeah. Hallelujah to our God. Righteous Savior, by your wounds we are healed. And your compassion draws us here. How amazing now is the mercy of the cross, that you would reach out for us. Let them rise. So let the praises rise. Here we go. You're the God of second chances. You're the God who still romances. We're in awe before you now, and our hearts are crying out. You're the God of all the ages. Who are we that you would save us? We're in awe before you now, and our hearts are crying out, hallelujah to our God. Hallelujah, hallelujah to our God. You rescue us